Welcome to the We Rock DM podcast, your source for all things digital marketing. Join hosts Daniel Bisett and Tricia Ulberg as they explore the latest trends and share their expertise on how to succeed in the digital age. Tune in for expert advice on search engine optimization, social media marketing, and content strategy. We make kick-ass stuff kick-ass. So join us and learn how to rock your digital marketing game. Welcome to We Rock DM Amplified, where digital marketing comes to life. We are your hosts, Daniel Bisett and Tricia Elizabeth Ulberg, and we have a special treat for you today. In this episode, we're joined by not one, but two industry experts, Fernanda Gratton and Katie Westman. Together, we'll dive into digital marketing for a marijuana dispensary, the art of crafting engaging content, and the most effective strategies to succeed in today's competitive digital landscape. So grab a seat, tune in, and get ready to amplify your digital marketing knowledge. Welcome to the show, Fernanda and Katie. To those of y'all who don't know us, we are digital marketing instructors at a UT boot camp. And Fernanda was one of our students, and she has gone on to do some incredibly amazing things. And that's one special reason why I wanted to bring you on, Fernanda, was to find out what has come of you since leaving the class. but we're also getting to know your business partner, Katie, and I'm really excited to hear how your fabulous duo is doing and what exciting things y'all are getting into. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. We're very excited. Bucket list checked.
Yes.
for our company personally and for the company. We're so happy. Thank you so much for having us. And since we last talked to each other, I believe last year when we graduated, a lot of things have happened. I was inspired by both of you guys, and Katie and I have worked together for the past, I would say, 5-6 years. Yep. And we, every time we had a challenge, every time we encounter something, we will say, you know what, why don't we let's just start our own company. Like, why are we just making somebody else money? And I mean, mind you, it's a nonprofit, so it was good and it was inspiring what we were doing for us. But we always wanted to call the shots, and we always have those CEOs and executives that give you the extra advice, and we're like, no, we want to call the shots now. So we decided to start Gratton Westman, which is a full service marketing agency. Since then, we work together in Houston in the medical center. And since then, I moved to El Paso, Texas. So we live in the opposite sides of the state, and we've been able to acquire clients on both ends. So that's very, it's working out for our industry or agency. And that's it. Now we are taking over some very exciting clients, very challenging clients. And so, that's what's been happening.
Okay.
So you and Katie worked together, you said, for 5 years. So when, with me and Tricia, we both bring totally different skill sets to the table. What is the dynamic between the two of you?
So I will speak for myself, and then Katie, you can tell your side. I have always defined myself as a business development professional. My degree is in marketing and public relations, but I have been in so many industries. I mean, from the entertainment industry to the fitness industry, designing products from the beginning to the launch. I have worked in big concerts, massive events. And then when I met Katie, I was in the nonprofit indoor area, I guess. And what is interesting is that I have been able to apply the marketing in public relations, in sales, in photography, and just pretty much all the hats I've known to all these various industries. However, I am not, I will say I can see a big picture, but I think more on the analytics and business side, if that makes sense. I like to talk to clients and convince them of why they should give us money and help with the general strategy. I love social media, so I love creating content and writing. But then that's when I need my fabulous business partner. That's when she comes in.
So, Katie, what strengths and skills are you bringing to the table?
I've got about almost 20 years since I've been in the graphic design industry, and Fernanda is like the powerhouse business mind behind things, and then I like to make people look good. So the creative, our minds just work really well together. I don't know what it is. She's the first person I've ever met in my career. 5 years ago, we started working together, and it just felt like an instant team. Like we were always just brainstorming everything and knocking projects out left and right. And it was just like, I've never met someone quite like Fernanda. We just clicked right from the get-go. So like she said, it was a no-brainer that we've always wanted to start this company together. And it's just going great so far. We're really excited about it.
That's excellent to hear. I feel very similarly with the combo pack that Tricia and I bring to the table. So, Fernanda, when you finished the class, you went on, you didn't start this business straight away. So talk us through, because we've got a lot of people that listen to this show, and a lot of them are looking for how to get started. So what was it that really just made the two of you go, all right, enough of this, we're doing our own thing? And then how did you get your first client? So kind of talk us through that process.
How did it start? I think we were just mad at one time with our current jobs and our current, not mad, we were just, what? Frustrated. Yes. You know what? Screw this. And I remember we were having a conversation over the phone. It was actually during quarantine when we first started talking about like, let's do this. So for that, I needed to acquire certain knowledge, which both of you provided. Thank you very much. And we decided, you know what, it's just time. And with that came a lot of fears and a lot of, imposter syndrome, I will say. We're like, well, I don't really know a lot about accounting. And I mean, I know how to build websites, but are they the best websites? And I understand analytics and I understand social media. And I mean, Katie, her graphic design, I have never had any question about her talent whatsoever. But on my end was, how do you even start a business? From there, or like, how am I old enough? Am I wise enough? Am I going to approach somebody and say, hey, I can do this for you. Pay me this much money? Because something that we had very specifically, like the only certain thing that we had is that how we were going to price ourselves. We knew what we were bringing to the table, and we knew our knowledge and our expertise. But then from saying, I want to earn this much money, to actually ask somebody to give us that money, it was very scary. At the beginning, it was super scary. And we decided, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. From the beginning, we are not beginners. We are not like freelancers, part-timers. No, we are a full service agency, and we're going to treat ourselves like that. So it was after that frustration, it came like, you know what? I'm on legal Zoom. Let's just register the company and screw it. Whatever is going to happen is going to happen. What's the worst that can happen? Not make money? We are already not making money. So, so go and, we registered the company, set up our accounting. Thank God for QuickBooks and their live online chat support, bookkeeping all the time, which I love. And we went from there. We had made some mistakes, and we have, done great things. So we started doing that. And we had a lot of no's at the beginning. I feel like you guys will relate to this. I live in El Paso and I have a lot of business friends. There's real estate, there's physicians, there's a lot of friends that are that are business owners or that need a marketing support. So I say, my friends are going to support us. Why not? Right? Like, hey guys, we just started this agency and this is what we can do. We have this expertise. This is our website. Let me know what I can do for you. And everybody will say, absolutely, let's meet. I need a website. I need SEO. I need Google. I need social media, blah, blah, blah. I need event management. I need public relations, all that stuff. Then we meet. We had a discovery meeting and then we come up with this beautiful proposal and the price at the bottom of it, which we call, at the beginning, it was total. It just say total on our proposal and it will have the total. And then then they came back like, hey, but we're friends. Can you give us a discount? Or, I can't do this at this point. And for Katie and I was very, certain we do not do this. I mean, if you are my friend, you're going to support my business.
Mm-hmm.
So
and you're going to value it.
Exactly. We're going to value it. So we got a lot of no's from there. We did do some free stuff not free because we were gaining expertise on that, certain things that we were not 100% sure. So we did a few for free or pro bono stuff, which we don't regret because it had, it's in our portfolio and it helped us troubleshoot certain things that we needed to. But I think we got like about 15 no's before we got our first yes. So on our first yes was actually elevation. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I was going to say, and then it seems like things just snowball from there, and it becomes word of mouth is really what's happening. We haven't really marketed ourselves that much because we're just kind of organically growing the business. And I came from a freelance background. So for me, it was always feast or famine. Like I'm used to that kind of flow of my work and getting paid and stuff. And I think that made Fernanda kind of nervous in the beginning, but then it's just kind of like, just keep going. You're going to get a million no's before you get that one yes. And you just got to keep asking. But easier said than done for me because she's the business end of it. But I'm just like, go Fernanda.
Everything you guys are saying, Daniel's probably thinking the same thing. Like it sounds like our last year, right?
Yeah.
We started with our legal Zoom coffee date and signed the paperwork, and then we started looking for the right clients and talking about pricing. And something Daniel really helped me understand is I wasn't charging enough before. And just like you guys said, we're not new. Maybe the company is new, but we're seasoned professionals joining forces. There's a difference, right? And you do have to value yourself in order for for your clients to value you. And if they don't see the value, they're not your customer. So I think that's the hardest thing for anybody in this industry. Marketing is subjective. There are people who think they can do it themselves, and then there's people who want somebody else to do it, and even then they don't really understand how much time and thought goes into that. So there's a lot of educating that has to be done, and just looking for the right client.
And there's some irony in the fact that, and we're under the same kind of umbrella, the bulk, I'd say 95% of our clients is referral. And yet we sell digital marketing. Right? It's like the pizza guys that make pizza all day and won't eat it or don't eat it.
Exactly.
But so you launched, you bit the bullet, you got a little scared, you got uncomfortable, and as I like to say, you have to get uncomfortable in order to grow. And you got your first client, which was this Elevation group. What can you tell us about Elevation? Because I'm crazy excited to have this conversation because there are a lot of people in the marijuana dispensary sector who are quite frankly just struggling to figure out how they can get found and get the eyes on the prize. And I'd really like to pick your brain to find out what nuggets of success we can share with them that is practical, applicable. So tell us about Elevation.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's one of my favorite clients because they're very receptive. Number one, if you own a cannabis business, be receptive to your agency. They're awesome. We love them. It started, you know what? We actually made a post, Katie and I, that say, "Hi guys, we are launching our agency. Come to us if you need blah blah blah." Right out everything that we could offer. And one of my close friends, she says, "Hey, we are actually moving to New Mexico, and my husband is going to be the general manager for a cannabis dispensary." At this point, there was like 5 or 6 dispensaries in Sunland Park, New Mexico, which is, I mean, you can throw a rock from El Paso. Like, you don't know what's Sunland Park and what's El Paso. And she says, I keep telling them that they need marketing. They need a whole event to launch. And, you know, like typical wife, which I love because she's very involved in all the marketing stuff. And she says, you guys need to talk to them. But before I give him your number, I want to make sure that you guys are on board with the whole cannabis idea. Because when this dispensary, they have 3 branches. The first one was opened in California 5 years ago. So they come with like all the knowledge, you know, the market. Everybody is very receptive. Nobody is ashamed of smoking cannabis or eating it or put it on their skin. Like, nobody's ashamed of it. Everybody shares on social media. It's great. It's a great market to be, right? Then they expanded to Ontario in Oregon. And then the newest one was going to be here in New Mexico. So New Mexico opened the cannabis sales in April last year. And at this point, I believe it's like 2,600 dispensaries just in New Mexico. There's 55 just in Sunland Park. So when we launched Elevation 3789 4 months ago, there was 5, and now there's 55 dispensaries in
That's
a
crazy
2 street. I mean, Katie was here in El Paso, right? Like, there's 2 streets and there's a dispensary. So,
and Fernanda, when you say for dispensary, because I looked at the pictures online, they have a storefront. That's what you mean, right? They have a brick and mortar storefront.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's nice.
We call it it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
We call it a showroom. It's called showroom, and the guys inside like this, the sales attendants are bud tenders, which I think is very cute. You know, like bud tenders and canisters, and I mean, there's like this entire new lingo that we had to learn. So that's how it came about, like our connection with Elevation 3789. We had a conversation over the phone, and we said, you know what, if you are our first client in this industry, you're our first client in general, you know, as an agency. But we promise you that we can apply our knowledge, and we will do our due diligence and learn, you know, there's a lot of regulations, there's a lot of laws of what to do and what not to do advertising wise. So they hired us for a 1 month, you know, just start our Google business accounts and or social medias, and, you know, do some press releases and help out with the SEO part on their website. And that became a monthly, you know, now we are hired for, I mean, we are their marketing agency. So the relationship has just been growing, and it's just fabulous. We're learning so much.
This is a very interesting marketing topic because, I can see just from the creative side how many different directions this could go alone, not even talking about like the different regulations you have to think about and where it's legal and what states and where it's not. And it's very interesting. Okay, Daniel.
So from the legal side, one, I mean, you know, I've had lots of clients who ask me, can we do this? Can we do that? And legal scares me. You know, it's like, I don't know. Right.
Yeah.
So how did you work that out what you can and can't do, and two, what are your like key takeaways from a digital marketing perspective? What can you do? Now, in this conversation, I said marijuana dispensary, and you have not once used that word. So I'm guessing that word is a no-go. You've said cannabis, so you've changed the terminology, and you've stuck to that lane. What are the other things? Is that one of them? And then what are the other things that you're doing to circumnavigate through the legal minefield that's out there?
Well, it's very interesting. We had to write a contract that the responsibility will fall on our client. That's
Right.
to protect our agency, right? We didn't know each other. Now I will say, like, how you want your friends to become your clients. So for us, it's like our clients have actually become our friends.
Right.
And we're so close to them that now we feel comfortable. I know we're not going to sue each other and blah, blah, blah. But we needed to make sure that everything was written down. So we wrote it down a contract, just in a little paragraph of responsibility does fall on them. And for that, we have a very strict process of pre-approval. Everything is in writing. We send them the posts, we actually bought a billboard in El Paso, which is the cannabis sales are illegal in Texas, as you guys know. So that was another fun thing to do, to put a billboard. We were the first dispensary to have a billboard in El Paso. So that was awesome. We learned a lot from there. And so, yes, cannabis is we rather have that term than marijuana, pot, or weed. Just because from the social media perspective, when you use cannabis, is a educational purposes, right? Like, this is not for sale. We're using this for educational purposes. So if you're educating your audience, you're not going to call it weed or pot. You can call it marijuana, actually, or billboard in Texas says marijuana is legal in 16 miles. And it has the elevation logo.
Wow.
And that was awesome.
Genius.
That's a big win for our agency, because everybody's like, oh my God, we can use marijuana, we can do this. So, little by little, we're breaking through that.
But
we cannot do.
I was just going to say, we also found out during that process, the billboard company has their own set of guidelines for this. And so there's certain disclaimers and icons that you have to have on there. There's rules like it can't look anything like a cartoon or kid friendly whatsoever.
Right.
It can only be certain distance from schools, all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of like having an extra set of checks and balances for us, that we're keeping everything within the right guidelines for them.
Right. So. You harness their expertise and their guidelines to also inform the direction that you take. Right. So that makes a lot of sense. And that is that takes a little bit of the onus of the fear off.
Right.
Yes.
So,
and then it's different because the laws in New Mexico are different than Colorado and are different than California. So even if you have like Instagram, Instagram is great in California and Colorado. They can say weed and pot and all of that. And Instagram in New Mexico, we cannot do that. So, it's challenging too.
Can you talk to the paid marketing strategies that you've been able to identify thus far? Billboards, it's old school, but that's a paid marketing strategy. Are there any other paid channels that y'all have been able to explore so far?
Yes, we have relied on influencers, social media influencers, because we pay them, but it's not illegal because it's their opinion on our business. They are private entities that they want to share their knowledge about our business. So we cannot pay Google, we cannot pay Instagram or Meta, we cannot do that. But we have identified key influencers that have a lot of engagement, especially in El Paso, because we are marketing to El Paso. We're not marketing in Sunland Park because people like it's just dispensaries and a casino in Sunland Park. Everybody else lives in El Paso. So we identify certain influencers. We do a lot of create their content for them. So we make sure that the brand is consistent. And that has worked for us. We have done flyers, right, Katie? We did the all guerrilla marketing and distribute flyers like crazy.
Postcards, all that kind of stuff, yeah.
Postcards, yes.
I will say that the thing that I found exciting about this particular client is just that they're so different than what you would normally think of, I guess, in this industry. Everything is so high end and beautiful, and even their design. And it's just because they're looking for their target audience is just older than the typical, early 20s people. And when they gave us their logo and it was 3789, well, that's their actual elevation of their location. I'm like, how cool is that? And each dispensary has their own elevation numbers to identify them. And I was like, well, that's cool. And we kind of went off of that and brainstormed a little bit. And they've really let us further develop their brand guidelines. They trust us, and that's what's really great about it. Is we've had a lot of fun with everything that we've been able to do for them so far.
So I wanted to ask you some questions about the branding, because I did notice that their branding it's upscale, I would say. And do you feel like that is setting them apart? Daniel and I were just in New York for a award ceremony, and we noticed there were cannabis dispensaries all over the place. Like, it seems like there's a lot of it right now, but I wouldn't say that those were upscale. Would you say that, Daniel? It was more like a sign, like, come in here, we've got the the pot. Whereas they seem to be going for a different target audience with their branding. It's very upscale. Like you said, they're using the word cannabis. I'm like really interested in what kind of from a graphic design standpoint, what you're focused on. Like, how are you keeping that brand in mind, that upscale brand, when you're creating Instagram ads or anything you're designing? Like, what's your thoughts behind that?
Really, just keeping it very clean and modern. And I mean, we have so many limitations of things that we can post on social media that we've used a lot of icons, patterns, just trying to play around with their color palette, but I'll keep it consistent. But we even did a series with the mountains out there in El Paso, just trying to do a little brand recognition as much as we can. But I think keeping it very high end across the board, that's what I'm enjoying this a lot.
Who is the target audience? Oh, this happens.
Let me add something to Katie real quick, and then I'll tell you the target audience. This is another great example of like interagency collaboration, because I love that, and we are big advocates to work with other agencies. I'm sure you guys know, in some markets, agencies are very jealous of their work and they don't share, and they're the best and blah blah blah. And we're not. We because the brand came from California, so we had to adapt their brand to the Southwest Texas, and New Mexico, and we had to make it ours. So that was something beautiful that Katie did. It's a brand from California, but if you see the California account versus the Sunland Park account, you can tell that this is a Sunland Park business, right? Like, so we wanted people and locals to feel that they owned and that we were from here, because especially coming to Texas from California, it's like, oh my God, like everybody from Texas, like. But when you say it's cannabis from California, then they're like, oh, okay, they're very receptive on that aspect. So when we talked to the investors and the general manager for 3789, they said, oh, we want to target soccer moms. And we're like, well, that has different meaning, right? Like, that's soccer moms in Houston are different than the soccer moms in El Paso. Huge difference. So we want to know exactly who you want to target. So we did a little bit of study, right? Like a little case study on who is actually buying it. We did some demographics and we talked to some people. And yes, I mean, it is soccer moms, but we have a lot of young professionals, a lot of entrepreneurs. And you can tell, I mean, the people that will go to Elevation is a different kind of clientele that will go 2 doors down. So in order for a customer to get to Elevation, they have to pass 3-4 dispensaries. Elevation is at the end of the street. So that was our challenge, right? Like we are gaining market share every month over the 3 other ones that are before then. And that's because we focus on this specific market. We wanted to educate the area, right? It's not like Colorado and California that everybody's, yay, another dispensary, and it's the same of everything. There's actual competition here, y'all. Like there's we're just starting. So, I mean, there is people that advertise maybe cheaper prices. We have never talked about cheaper price. I mean, we have deals, but we're not cheap. We have the best quality, right? And you are going to feel comfortable coming. Me as a mom, I don't want to be seen in a dispensary that looks like a strip club, right? Like, because some of them are very shady, as you say, like in New York. So it's all about how we make our audience feel comfortable and like other females. And I mean, one time I was doing some content, I was shooting some content, and this like 85-year-old grandma came, and she's like a regular, and they call her like dope granny, and I love that. So it's just pretty cool that a female that has all these taboos feels comfortable coming to this dispensary, and that's something that we wanted to achieve from the looks, from the brand, from the staff. I mean, Justin, the general manager, has been amazing at hiring specific people that will fall in love with the brand and that will market the brand wherever they go. So it's just amazing. It's just a great environment.
I have so many questions.
Me too. I know, me too. We're gonna have to take turns. Line up.
But I have one idea that I don't want to drop before this finishes. Okay. You want soccer moms? They want soccer moms. Yeah. You need to sponsor all of the shirts for all of the teams. Elevation 3789, all of them. Every single team. You go and pay for every single team, from the 8U to the 10U to the 12U to the 14U soccer teams. Elevation 3789 on every shirt. That's going to get the soccer moms.
That's funny because it's closer than 300 feet to children. So that's
snap.
So we can't
sailing.
Forget that.
We're thinking like the turkey trots or certain sporting events. A lot of the smoothie parlors, where we hang out. I'm a soccer mom.
Yeah, right. Events that maybe like a beer company would sponsor. Right? Maybe that would be appropriate.
Correct.
So I have a question that is connected to what you were just saying about interagency work, but it actually comes from a viewer. And so the viewer says, if you've got combined skill sets that covers a lot of ground, is there anything that you won't do? And then how do you choose what to outsource? I think that's a really great question, because we have that same kind of, I don't want to do that. I could, but I don't want to. So that fits more into the won't, but then choosing to outsource it. So how does that work for y'all? And is it an interagency kind of, are you working with other agencies that you've developed relationships with who have a skill set that y'all don't really enjoy?
We for example, for Elevation 3789, I had already their website started, right? And they had a small brand guideline that we adopted and made it ours and made it local. So it was very easy on that end. They are focused on, for example, their website is focused on SEO, like in general, or more specific, California. So from there, we took the SEO for Sunland Park in Texas, right? It's different, keywords is different. So that's what we took on. When we were launching Elevation, we actually brought a photographer from Idaho to come and do all the content, right? Because so that's something that we don't have photography. I mean, we know photography, but not like a professional photographer. So we will always hire photographers. That's something that we will always do. Because we rather be working on strategy and designing things that we are strong on doing than, right? Maybe, I don't know what else, Katie, maybe on the social media aspect, there's always new things, there's always trending things. I love working with people that contribute content. I love writing content, but I don't like writing content for all of my clients. So we will outsource that as well whenever it's necessary. And we definitely outsource our bookkeeping because it sucks to do accounting.
Yeah,
but
we
whenever
outsource that too. Yeah.
Like whenever is necessary, maybe there's an agency that has this badass Google Ads strategy, and we recommend that. I mean, we're working with a nonprofit here in El Paso, which is the Borderland Mountain Bike Association, and we're working with another agency in El Paso, and we're both together building the website, and we are coming up with the branding, and it's just awesome. It's I mean, for us and Katie and I, we're like, we're going to learn the best of everybody. And there's work for everybody if you can sell it correctly.
I think part of the reason Daniel is asking that question is we're a little bit jealous of this client. Like, this sounds like a really fun, interesting client. Like, oh, this would be awesome.
There's 2,658 in all New Mexico. We only have one.
Yeah.
I like the target audience, though. I like the whole upscale. It's different, right? And I can see already so many different things you could do with the advertising. So my question is, and Katie, I want to know what your thoughts are on this. So there's the medicinal uses and there's the recreational uses. It feels like the medicinal might get a little tricky if you're trying to go that route. Do you even go there, or do you focus on the recreational? And how do you keep that upskill?
Well, when we had our photographer out there, we did a few different photo shoots for upcoming campaigns, and just trying to think of different ways that, for instance, we did a shoot where it was in the pool, and it was just like was it palm leaf? I can't remember. Anyway, it was floating in the pool, but the products were on top of it with sunglasses and the gummies or whatever. And it still looks really high end. Like, oh, I want to be in that pool at that party, but it's just very subtle and clean feeling. And I think it's just like keeping within that kind of modern feel for us that we want to. I don't know how else to say that, but
so you're not addressing medicinal uses for like PTSD or anxiety. Okay, because that's a whole another ball of wax, right?
Correct. Yeah. And that's part of the re-education of the audience, or education, because nobody was familiar with that. Everybody used to go their back alleys and buy, stuff. And now, we are educating the market, and we rely a lot on the current brands that they sell as well. Because they will give you content as well. They say, we have this topical and we can use this gummy for sleeping or maybe arthritis, or so we rely a lot on that. If you look at our Instagram page, we try to explain what the different strains are, or the cannabinoids are, like what is marijuana, how do you store marijuana, things like that we're just trying to get the word out there. But honestly, the money is in recreational.
I believe that. Get in the door. Oh, Oh, I was going to say,
No.
once people get in the door, they've created this just awesome experience from the moment that you set foot in their lobby. It's like this beautiful lobby. It looks hipster kind of, it's just got such a good vibe in there. And then you walk into their actual showroom, and everywhere you look, I mean, there's just such clean cases. It looks almost like museum quality, showroom quality, but it's a whole experience when you get in there. Like, I can't wait to go back out to El Paso and check it out again, because it was just so different than what I was anticipating in my head from what you see in Colorado and New York, and like we were talking about before.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, that is interesting. And it's interesting that you say that the recreational is where the money is. I would have thought opposite. I used to live in Seattle, and I think Washington was one of the first states that legalized marijuana, and people were using it for anxiety up there. Like all the the techie people who are stressed out. Those were the upscale customers in Washington were, stressed out tech workers. So
Well,
that's interesting.
I think the lines get a little blurry, don't they, with medicinal and recreational, because it gets rid of my anxiety and it makes me giggle. I don't know how to separate that. Is that medicinal, or is that I'm having a good time? That's the kind of question. But when you're doing social media marketing, you're utilizing influencers. I think that's a great utilization of resources, right? But how do you make it? What are you doing specifically that is edutainment? It's educating, but it's also entertaining. Are you blurring those two lines and finding a hybrid that fits the education entertainment demographic or strategy, and what does that look like?
We have a very robust social media planner that we came up with, and it has helped us so much. In our 4 pillars of content, it will be education, just education. Then we have entertainment, promotion, and I don't know what the last one is. Community, right? Like something about the community. We want to show that we like this, we support this gym, or we support, right? Because then they will share. Because at this point, everything is organic. We cannot pay for anything.
Right.
So based on that, in the previous couple weeks analytics, then we come up with okay, people really likes, for example, the reels. We make reels of gummies. What do gummies do? What to expect? Or specifically this new product. How does that make you feel? So before you go into the showroom, you want to know, you don't want to feel like an idiot, right? Nobody wants to feel like an idiot. We want our audience and our clients to feel like they can come. Number one, they can ask whatever they want, but also give them this basic knowledge on the products so they will feel comfortable. So the reels have worked huge for us. It will say, how do you store your flower, or what are the different kind of flowers that we have, or the difference between sativa and indica in hybrid. What is this new thing? It's called live rosin, and there's rosin and there's resin. And it blew my mind when we were learning about it, because now we kind of have become these connoisseurs ourselves of all the research that we're doing. And so that has worked huge with us. So that would be, for example, a reel will be just focused on education. Then we will share the eventual meme. We have one that it was a huge hit. It said, "I'm high maintenance," and all the moms share that, and I love that. So that will be a division. We try to not really blur it, because at the end we are selling a product that is very. It can be dangerous if it doesn't fall in the right person, right? We do not want to be responsible for children to know about cannabis. We do not want to be guilty of that. We are targeting responsible or let me rephrase that. We are targeting adults that they're responsible for their lives, correct?
Right.
And they will make an educated decision. But we do not want to fall on there's a lot of dispensaries that they will share a lot of memes that are maybe associated with children, or that will post picture of children, or somebody
or look
got
like a cartoon or anything,
or looks like a cartoon. This company had a huge lawsuit because their product looked like Skittles, and we don't want to do that. So we want our clients to be, or I guess Elevation's clients, we think they're our clients, but Elevation's clients to feel educated, to feel that we are responsible socially, right? That we care about who is consuming our products.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So you've mentioned Instagram and Instagram Reels. Are you in TikTok and YouTube Shorts, or are you focusing just in Insta, and why?
Right now we are on Instagram. That's where most of our content goes to. Just because of if you do everything correctly, Instagram will recommend your account. But if you say pot one time, they're going to shadow ban you, and nobody's going to know about you unless they go to your showroom. So, however, it's been very easy for people to like and share, especially with these influencers. I think that strategy has worked very well. We did some research on TickTok, and TikTok is a little volatile on content. And, I didn't want to start an account and then can't say anything. It will just be the picture of the showroom. So because obviously it's more visual, maybe in the future, once we have, because Elevation has a higher education program, maybe we'll incorporate that. We tried Twitter, and then Threads open like 2 weeks after that. So we're like, let's do a standby on that, and we'll see where Threads go. Because if it's managed by Instagram, if it's owned by Meta, then it's easier. I will assume that it falls under the same regulations. So that's how we're doing social media wise so far. We did not want to, because it's such a broad. We could do everything. We can do Snapchat. We can do all of the things, but we want to be very strategic on what we post and what we share. So everybody just goes there. Maybe once the market share increases or the market, just opens up, then we can go everywhere. But at this point, I think Instagram, based on our research and our analytics, it has worked amazing.
So Instagram is the channel that's working best.
Yes,
I applaud that strategy, but it also scares me. Not because I think you're missing an opportunity in different places, but because if you're not there first and somebody else does get into that space, then you can lose it in a heartbeat, right? So if you're already creating excellent content for Instagram Reels, what's to stop you from trying those same concepts over in TikTok and YouTube Shorts, just to kind of put your stamp on things and start slowly maybe building those accounts up. Maybe they don't get as much traction. Maybe you learn a thing or two. But if you're already producing the content for one, if you're going from YouTube Shorts to Instagram, you have more time, 3 minutes versus 1 minute. So you have to, but going the other way is easy. 1 minute fits into 3 minutes, no problem, right? So it would just concern me of if we do have 2 streets of dispensaries or, reaching further out, and there are clearly going to be some that are trying to do the high end like y'all are doing.
Correct.
We want to be the first people out there.
Correct.
Now, I don't know. That's just where my mind sits. But then again, like you said, Instagram's doing it, so that's great. It's just, I don't know, all eggs in one basket kind of.
It's not that we say, oh, this is all we're gonna do, right? Obviously, the dispensary has been open for 3 months. And and it wasn't a fear, something that we were hesitant about was just posting two things and then just be standing there, like on TikTok, because TikTok will not allow, they won't even allow cannabis. They will ban THC, they will ban CBD. So actually, an account I follow on TikTok, they are selling the rolling papers. So they don't say anything. They actually put broccoli on the rolling papers and they roll it. I'm like, that is genius. If we had a product, that would be maybe easier. I would think that absolutely, I 100% agree with you. I think that you always have to expand, as we were the first ones that had a billboard, and now everybody has a billboard. And we are seeing the market share increase or elevation exponentially compared to, we do competitive analysis and we see their market share. And maybe that's something that maybe by the beginning of next year, then we'll start exploring other options. I mean, the sky is the limit as long as it's not illegal.
So are y'all doing any like content SEO, keyword gap analysis, that sort of stuff for the website? And
we are.
Okay. What are your strategies in that space?
We are. We haven't quite launched that because the website is still like in the process of, we want to let the California agency finish all their stuff. They're launching some blogs and stuff, but we want to rely more on the higher education side because we believe this is what our market needs, what our client needs right now. So we will doing a lot of blogs, That is very challenging because the 3 websites are under the same WordPress. You know what I mean? They fall is like all the 3 dispensaries, and that was the way the client had. I mean, that's how it happened, and all we have to do is fall under that. So we have, out of all the thousands of pages that all 3 dispensaries have, we really just have 2 to work with. So it will have to rely a lot on blogs, renaming pictures, backlinks. That's why we want to work with influencers. We want to work with local gyms or smoothie parlors, or events. Maybe not the soccer league, Daniel, but maybe the turkey trot or something. And we'll do a lot of backlinking on that. That's our strategy so far.
So cool. So y'all have this big client. Do you have any other smaller clients that you're really excited about?
Yes. Katie, which one is your favorite?
Well, put me on the spot.
You like the Shop Mium. You like Shop Mium a lot.
Yeah, Shop Mium was really fun. That was a social media campaign that we got to do, just create 50 posts for them to get going with their account. And that was really great to just kind of have free reign once they gave us their brand guidelines and to come up with all the content for that. And then to see the big picture once it's all posted together. That was a good one. We have clients across the board. I mean, we work with a cattle rancher and a couple different educational clients. It's really across the board right now. We're just kind of organically letting the business grow and kind of see what direction it goes before we land on a niche, I think.
Yes. And some are very exciting. Some clients are like, I mean, cannabis, and it's so challenging. In this, like Shop Mium, for example, is a international app that we got to work with, and that's amazing. And some other ones are more niche, like we have an engineering company, which is very exciting, but we don't know much about it, that we have to talk about hydrovacs and all of that. But at the same time, I mean, we're learning so much about a lot of things.
Do you find, as you have been working together since you started your company, that you are preferring certain types of marketing over others? Do you feel like you are gravitating to a certain type of marketing that you want to focus on? And what is that?
Yes, for sure. Well, I didn't think I was going to like content creation as much as I love it now. Right? I think we're doing more content. Like that whole Pinterest project, that was awesome because I mean, we had different content pillars that we had to build content for, and had to also follow specific brand guidelines that were already established by an international company. So that was a lot of pressure because we were working with a board. We're working with like a $500,000 marketing budget, so that was kind of intimidating. And at the same time, I come from traditional marketing. I mean, I know this is a digital marketing podcast, but I love traditional marketing. I love public relations. We love event planning. And that brings the action. Branding. I mean, branding is one of our favorites. We love doing that. I love it because Katie takes care of it, most of it, and I just get to say that yes. But I mean, we get to work with people, and sometimes in digital, and I'm sure you guys know it's all on the computer. And when we get to meet with the client, we need to do an event for a client. We get to bring media into the showrooms. I mean, that's very exciting. It's like, that's how I grew up. That's how I was trained originally. I mean, when I graduated, social media didn't exist. Google was not as big, so it's good to remain true to what we for sure know and evolve every day, every time with new clients, new boot camps or certifications. So that's awesome. And we love everything. But I will say content for me, that's like my favorite.
Wow. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Where do you guys see yourself going? What's your 5-year plan? Do you have one yet, or are you still just kind of figuring it out as you go?
I think we're dreaming big at this point, and still trying to figure out what the exact plan is. But I don't think either one of us wants to. I think we want to really get some great high-end clients, but I don't think we want our business itself, like how many people we work with, to be too large. Like, I think we want to stay that part small. Yeah.
Yes, we like the size of our clients. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, I would not say no to Target or Red Bull or but I would say in 5 years we want to increase our team. We love to bring, like, at least we already have in mind the person that is coming on board. She doesn't know that yet, but she will. She doesn't know that yet, but we
love
know
her.
So hopefully, Katie. Well, I should not say it. Never mind. I'm going to say that. But we would like to stay working from home virtually, because that gives us a lot of flexibility on travel and meeting clients and all of that. We don't want to pay a rent. But we want to be established, we want to, and especially in El Paso. I mean, Houston, Katie lives in Houston, and Houston has these huge agencies that we have worked with. I mean, they're amazing, and they have a whole building. And the difference in El Paso, I mean, there's not a lot of agencies that have this, that are as serious as we want to be, as what we want to become, right? We don't want for executives to say, oh, my daughter, she's 15, she can totally take care of this. We want to, at the same time, kind of how we're doing with Elevation, we want to educate the market in El Paso, that in Texas, in the New Mexico area, that why marketing is important. And we know our agency, something that we do is we return data. We analyze data, and we tell you what is working and what is not working. We can tell, a lot of agencies say, well, and we work with huge agencies in Houston that have say, I'm going to make you a logo. That's going to be $35,000. And then here is your logo, period. And we're like, I don't want to do that. For me, we have worked on the other side. We have hired agencies before, and that's something that we always hated. You sit with the client, oh, you want a logo and 3 fonts, and here it is. So for us, we take that and we like, here is your brand guideline. It is very important that we're going to put our name on this project, and wherever you're going to go, your brand is going to be consistent, because we care about it. The pictures that we put on your social media, everything has our name. The agency is literally Gratton Westman. Technically, it's our husband's last name, but it has our name. It has our stamp on it, and we want that to represent who we are. So ideally that's we grow on that reputation, and our clients know that, and they are proud to work with us, and then they recommend to their friends.
Branding is so important, and that is what separates you from somebody who gets a logo on Fiverr, right?
Yes.
Yeah, branding, and especially with the client you've been talking about, the cannabis client, I can see that branding is what is setting them apart. That is just like huge for them. So that's great. Okay, I have a last question, and Daniel might have a last question. If you were to give advice to anybody trying to start up a new marketing agency, what would your one thing be?
Mine would be just don't be afraid. You just kind of have to go for it, and you're going to fail. I mean, that's just the way it is, but you just learn from those mistakes and keep going. I think, like Fernanda said earlier, the imposter syndrome was big for us in the beginning, but now that we're here and we're doing the thing, it's like, man, this feels so good to be, in charge of our own company and to not have to answer to anybody, It's worth it, I think, in the end, to take that leap of faith.
I agree. I will say to always be prepared, always learn, never stop learning. It's very easy for somebody that that has 2,000 followers on Instagram, and then they say, I want to be an influencer, I want to be a content person. But there's more to digital marketing. There's more to marketing than likes and then follows, to really understand what you're bringing to your client. Before you decide to do that leap of faith and jump into owning something, is to really understand what you do. And it doesn't need to be a 4-year college degree, it's actually stay on top of the trends, stay on top of people, and learn from people. Like, I feel like I was inspired by both of you, right? And that's maybe the idea to start something was, Katie and I were like, yeah, let's go do that. But to learn from people, to always surround yourself with those people that know, or that are also on the search for excellency. I think that's huge. I mean, from the guys from our cohort, I still ask, I ask Caesar sometimes, or, I ask people like, hey, how do you do this? And how you do that? Or, so we try to always stay on that. My husband is in medicine, he's a physician. And something that I learned from them is that a doctor is not going to know everything, right? So they're going to rely on other doctors, like, hey, what do you think? Everything for the best of that patient. And I feel like that's what sets us apart. If we are limited on something, or we don't know something, we're going to surround ourselves and ask those people, because we care about our client. So we want to apply that, to our agency.
That's great.
So don't be afraid to fail, right? And I like to say, if you're not failing, you're doing it wrong. I know that sounds so counterintuitive, but when people start out with the expectation that this is going to work, and then failure almost inevitably happens, it can be devastating. But if you go into it expecting that, okay, this is going to get ugly, but I'm going to grow, right? Then when it gets ugly, you have that mindset of, I knew this was coming. This is actually exciting. Okay, so here's how I'm going to grow from this. I think that's really great. And then, to your point, Fernanda, it's this industry in particular is changing so much all the time that if you get comfortable in your lane, chances are you're gonna get passed by real quick, because Google Analytics drops universal, and all of a sudden you're screwed because you don't want to have to learn that new thing, right? Yep. So is there a piece of practical, something that people can do? So this is like what we've been talking about, is kind of the mentality that you can take into it with you. But what is it that someone can do, either who's looking to maybe start into this digital marketing space as a boutique agency provider, or somebody who's already here and looking to, make things better? What is the one piece of practical advice that somebody could do? Do you have anything that you would recommend?
I said this is something that my very first boss taught me, and I learned through a lot of mistakes with them. But he let me fail so many times. It was awesome because I learned a lot. So we learned two things. I learned two things with them. One is do not overpromise and underdeliver. Never do that. Be honest with what you can deliver and the timing. Sometimes I do that and Katie will yell at me because I'm like, oh, I can do that in a week. And Katie's like, no, we can't. We have 5 other clients, That will be one. And the other one, which is the very first product that I launched, we actually wrote it down in the product, and it says everything you put your hands on, you do it with all your might. And to me, it's like, if you follow those two things, I mean, it has helped us a lot.
That's
great advice.
Really beautiful advice. That's really great. Thank you both so much for joining us on this meandering conversation through the digital marketing and cannabis dispensary. It's been really eye-opening. I still feel like I have so many questions, but I want to respect your time. So we'll maybe have to have a podcast number 2 at a later date, in 6 months' time, after y'all have got some more key takeaways to teach us. But thank you both so much for joining us today. We really appreciate having you.
Thank you, guys. It's an honor.
Thanks for tuning in to the We Rock DM podcast. We hope you found our discussions on digital marketing and web design and development helpful and informative. Don't forget to follow us on social media and subscribe to our podcast to stay up to date on the latest trends and strategies in the world of online business. We'll see you in the next episode of We Rock DM, where we make kick-ass stuff kick ass.